Alston. After my firstborn daughter, Skye, was stillborn in 2005, I established the Skye Foundation in her honor. Here's a story about the Foundation's first organized event. Dawn to Dusk, One Father's Marathon Love. One can never be sure of what to expect of Marathon Sunday's weather in New York City. For spectators that Sunday, November 5th, 2006, the temperature was seasonably brisk. But for the runners, like my husband Paul and his running mates, the weather was perfect. Although this would be Paul's second marathon, this event marked the first organized fundraiser for the Skye Foundation and the first marathon for Team Skye. The team was comprised of a special group of fathers recruited by what I would describe as divine serendipity, as their lives had been either touched or directly impacted by Black infant death. After months of training, Paul and the team left for the start in Staten Island at dawn. I said a prayer for the team, praying for protection and strength, especially for Paul, whose knee had never been the same after a freak accident on the basketball court a few years earlier. The cheering squad of family and friends left later that morning. We dispersed ourselves throughout New York City at different points on the race's course. At mile 8, it seemed as if Paul and Team Skye were progressing through the course almost effortlessly. I, along with my mother-in-law, sister, and her husband, headed uptown to mile 21, but it would be several hours before I would see Paul again, a lot longer than I had anticipated. Most of Team Skye had passed mile 21, but there was still no sign of Paul. Even with my slowest estimate, I thought Paul should have reached mile 21 by now. Finally, my mother-in-law yelled, "There he is!" And then, through the sea of runners, we saw him. Paul was limping terribly. His pained look made it clear that he was in agony. He stopped to tell us that his knee had given out at mile 14. His legs were hard to move, and he had been limping for the last 7 miles. Knowing Paul's proclivity to finish what he starts, I figured that it would be a long shot, but I had to say it anyway. "Babe, really, you can stop if you want to. You have absolutely nothing to prove. You're already my hero." His mom agreed. "That's right, you're my hero too." Paul responded to my invitation without words. With a quiet and steely determination, he limped away from the sidelines to rejoin the race. I started walking with him. As we walked the last 5 miles of the marathon together, Paul and I didn't say much. I can only remember him saying once, "Daddy's tired. Daddy's really tired." And I knew that he was focused on Skye, the foundation, and finishing the course. Paul later told me that he equated giving up the race to giving up on our daughter, which for him was non-negotiable. Despite the thousands of runners and spectators around us, it seemed as if Paul and I were in our own private bubble. My thoughts about the last year seemed to drown out what was happening with the race. I thought about our own personal marathon and the complex grief experience that followed Skye's birth and death. I thought about how many times I had not completely understood the difference between Paul's style of grieving and my own. My emotions after Skye's death were visible and intense, but had I interpreted this to mean that Paul was not as impacted by her death? With every step Paul took, I realized that although our expressions of grief may differ, it did not mean that Paul was affected any less by our baby's death than I was. Only an enduring love for Skye kept Paul in the race. As dusk settled, Paul took his last steps of the marathon. I watched him with tears in my eyes and promised myself that one day I would share this story with fathers worldwide. Family, friends, and Team Skye runners were reunited at the finish line, celebrating the team's accomplishment. And in the midst of the celebration, I could almost imagine our 1-year-old Skye cheering wildly for her amazing father.
Window and ride the window. Maybe I'm a bluebird and this is as happy as I'm ever gonna be. If heaven's not the remnant of some magic carpet, then it's the fading daylight on the blue bonnet so wide. see. Am I carrying the weight of broken dreams, or am I standing on a pedestal that lifts me to the stars? I accept the things I cannot change, my weakness, but my life's made stronger by a heart of heavy stone. Maybe bliss is only in the minds of fools and lovers, and I have been a fool, so maybe I'll at last discover what it means to really love you, and to let you love me as I truly am. I who let my guard down like Rapunzel's golden hair, come to me at midnight and we will taste the cold wild air. I cast aside my fear for you. You can leave or you can take my hand. Please take my hand. Am I carrying the weight of broken dreams, or am I standing on a pedestal that lifts me to the stars? I accept the things I cannot change, my weakness, but my life's made stronger by a heart of heavy stone.